There's been one major change that's taken place to the way that businesses operate over the last couple decades that is having a massive impact across the board. And in this video today, I want to break everything down. I call this the private equitization of businesses. So first I want to start out with an example. Think about it like this. Let's say you're a business owner and it's, let's say 1985. You run a local plumbing company, for example. Chances are you have your office, you have an in-person kind of location where customers come to you. You have maybe 10 employees in there, a couple plumbers under you, an accountant, an HR person, whatever it is. You kind of have everyone in the office. A lot of people in there have probably been working for you for a long time. You know, they're long-term employees. There's a bit of that emotional connection with that. And everything's done locally. There's a lot of handshake agreements. You know, business just kind of flows your way. Fast forward to how things operate nowadays in the 2020s, totally different picture. A lot of businesses are run online. A lot of people are leveraging software. People are using employees outside of the US. Basically, what I mean by this is business owners today, especially younger ones, especially, you know, millennial entrepreneurs or older Gen Z entrepreneurs, they're operating in a much more kind of cutthroat, profit-driven way that's similar to how private equity firms operate. You know, looking at the numbers, I'd say. And if your business is not adapting to that and operating in similar ways, you're really going to get left behind. So I really think that this private equitization of business, it comes down to three main big changes. These have really been the catalyst to this over the last 2, 3, 4 decades, I'd say. So number one is software. You know, back in like the 80s or whatever, you're doing everything manually. But nowadays you have things like massive enterprise software companies. You have the SAPs, the Oracles, the Salesforces of the world. These like massive kind of billion-dollar behemoth companies that are enabling you to really just automate a lot of your workflow and automate a lot of your jobs, a lot of your payroll as well. Software has really enabled businesses to just operate much faster. You know, I used to be a sales rep before I started my own business. And for me, the thought of like running a sales pipeline without a CRM, you know, it's a total nightmare. You know, you can just operate so much more efficiently because of software. So that's the first thing. Number two is jobs outsourced abroad. Kind of circling back to that 1980s example, you have all these local in-person office, you got everyone in one spot. Nowadays, you don't have to have employees based out of America. You can get employees from the Philippines or from Colombia or elsewhere in South America for like 1/10 of the cost. We have several VAs on our payroll, $500 a month, which they're actually really happy with. A lot of times they're some of our most loyal employees. They do a great job, but they do cost like 1/10 of that price. You know, we're able to retain higher profit margins because we have a lot of people abroad and they aren't taking up American salary. For our bottom line, that is great. You know, I think that's very similar to what a private equity firm, when they're acquiring a company, look to cut costs anywhere you can without ideally sacrificing, you know, quality of the product and service or whatever. But jobs outsourced abroad has been a total game changer. Lastly, I would argue this is the biggest one, is the internet and just access to information. Back in like the 80s, let's say you were running into a problem in your business. Let's say your plumbing company is having issues with sales. You know, sales are down for the month. Nowadays, if I have a problem, there's just no shortage of information available. I can make decisions much faster. Let's say sales are in a slump. I can Google it. I can go on YouTube. I can look up videos. I can look up sales trainings. I can buy courses. I can join programs. I can go on LinkedIn or IG or Facebook or whatever. I can DM a lot of people. I can set up calls. Basically, the internet and just the access to information that gives me allows me to iterate, solve problems faster. Solutions take 2 hours instead of 2 months. I would actually say this even applies to things like distribution. You know, for example, let's say we need to hire a new employee. You know, imagine trying to hire someone locally back in the 1980s. I don't even know how people would do that. For us, if we want to hire some sales reps, we drop a post on Instagram. We have like 20 applicants, you know, overnight. There's so many things about like the environment today that basically enable you to operate in a much more kind of cutthroat, profit-driven way, just like a private equity firm would. So why do I bring this up? Why do I, talk about this in the first place? So I say all of this to say that if you're a business owner, if you own and operate your own business and you're still operating in an old school way, keeping employees a little bit longer than they should be kept, and you're not automating things where you should, you're not running ads on Facebook, you're not leveraging offshore VAs who are significantly cheaper than your American employees. You can do that, of course. Maybe if you're a local business that is still working for you, but most young entrepreneurs today, most people running companies are running businesses in a much more kind of cutthroat way, to be honest. Our team here, we did about $50 million in revenue last year. If we have people who aren't performing, if we have people who aren't hitting the mark, we're quick to cut. We run a very, very tight ship. And that's why we're generating the types of numbers we're doing. So in today's environment, it's more important than ever to be ahead of the curve, to be adaptable, to do whatever it takes to win, kind of operating in more of that private equity mentality as opposed to the small business owner mentality. Super important. It's what we leverage here with our team, what we recommend doing with yours. So make sure you stay ahead of the curve, make sure you stay adaptable. Super important in today's environment. And if you want to learn more about how our team does this, how we operate killer sales and marketing teams that generate multiple 8 figures on an annual basis, then be sure to click the link below to subscribe. We've got more videos coming out on this every single week.